Hello, I'm Tom Wilkinson, and welcome to the Thinking in English podcast, a podcast for intermediate to advanced level English learners. On today's episode of Thinking in English, let's learn some new ways to talk about and describe pain in English. Check out my blog, thinkinginenglish.blog, for the full transcript, and also head over to Instagram, Thinking in English Podcast, or the link is in the description. In early August this year, actually, it was on my birthday, I was walking between train stations in central Tokyo while looking at my phone. This was a mistake. Why? Well, I ended up falling down some stairs and injuring my ankle. Over the next few days, my ankle and foot became swollen. I had a bright purple bruise from my toes to my leg, and I couldn't walk easily for about 2 weeks. It hurt a lot. However, the term hurt and pain are very generic ways of describing pain. They are not specific. Pains can and do vary a lot and feel different. Think about pain from burning your hand, breaking your leg, having a stomach ache, or hurting your back. They are completely different. So, why is this important? Why should you learn how to talk about pain? Well, hopefully, most of you will never need to describe your pain in English. Hopefully, you won't be injured or ill while in an English speaking country. However, I'm sure that some of you will need to visit an English speaking hospital or doctor in the future. Describing your pain accurately is vital to help the hospital staff to correctly treat and diagnose you. If you can tell doctors how the pain feels and how severe it is, whether it is constant or not, what makes the pain worse, and if anything triggers the pain, you're going to find it so much easier to communicate. Being able to describe pain using advanced adjectives and terms is an essential skill to learn for anyone living, working, studying, or I guess even traveling abroad. It also makes your English more interesting. So, I'm now going to introduce you to some of the most useful and important ways of describing pain in English. Simple ways to describe pain. The most common way of talking about pain in English is using the verb hurt. There are two main ways of using this verb. You can say that a part of your body hurts, such as my ankle hurts, or you could use it hurts when explaining that something is painful to do, as in it hurts to walk. Also, very common is the adjective painful. This is a simple way to describe any type of pain on your body. For example, my neck is painful. You could also use the phrase have a pain in if you want to talk specifically about where your pain is. For instance, after falling asleep on the bus, I had a pain in my neck all day. How painful. So next, we need to know how to describe the level of pain. How painful is your injury? How painful is the pain that you're feeling? So I'll shortly give you some more specific vocabulary, but these following words are used to talk about bad pain. We often describe pain that is, really painful as severe. For example, I had a severe stomach ache last week. Similarly, we can also use the word intense, as in, my whole leg hurts, but the pain in my knee is the most intense. If your pain is even worse than intense or severe suggest, Then we need to use more extreme words. We can use the adjectives excruciating and agonizing. Agonizing and excruciating are used to emphasize that a pain is extremely, extremely painful. For example, I got stung by a bullet ant in Brazil. It was excruciating. The pain was agonizing when she broke her toe. Slightly more informally, you could also say that someone who is suffering a lot of pain is in agony, as in the patient was clearly in agony before the doctors gave him pain medication. When is it painful? Is your pain constant or does it come and go? Is your pain long term or sudden? Well, we have words in English to help you describe these kinds of pain. If your pain never stops, we can describe that as continuous pain or constant pain. Fortunately for me, when I hurt my ankle, I was not in constant pain. However, many injuries and illnesses can result in people being in constant or continuous pain. Alternatively, if your pain is not constant but stops and starts, we can describe it as intermittent pain. A friend of mine used to have intermittent pain in his ears, especially if it was cold outside. How about long term pain versus sudden pain? Well, doctors tend to describe pain that lasts for months or years as chronic pain. For example, that man suffers from chronic back pain. Chronic can also describe diseases or illnesses that are long term as well. Another word to describe long term pain is nagging. This is more informal. If your pain is really severe, you should use chronic. But if your pain is less serious, you can use nagging. You'll often hear nagging to describe a sports injury, such as a nagging knee injury. On the other hand, sudden pain is described as acute by doctors. For instance, he had an acute pain in his chest. This is really important vocabulary if you need to visit a hospital abroad. In particular, the terms chronic or acute tells everyone if it is a new problem that you have or if it is a sudden emergency. What kind of pain? Let's end with some ways of describing specific types of pain. Everyone experiences pain differently, so it is important to understand the different vocabulary you have available. The following terms can be combined together with other vocabulary in this lesson to help you better describe what you are feeling. Also, remember this is not an exhaustive list. This is not a complete list of every English pain word. And if you want to know something in more detail, you should search online, or if you want, you could send me a message on Instagram. An ache is a continuous pain that is unpleasant, but not too strong or intense. Aches are the sort of pain associated with getting older or the feeling the day after you exercise. It can also be used as the verb to ache, as in, my legs are aching after yesterday's run. Moreover, ache can be combined with body parts to describe a continuous pain in that body part, such as stomach ache, toothache, or headache. Cramp is a sudden, painful tightening in a muscle. Cramps are especially common after a lot of exercise and they can limit movement. One time I had a cramp in my foot and it was excruciating. Cramps are also used to describe the pain in the lower stomach caused by a woman's period. A gnawing pain is a constant sensation of pain. It is continuous, endless, or persistent. To gnaw is actually a verb describing someone or something chewing on a thing with their teeth, such as a dog gnawing on a bone. If you were to try and stop the dog from gnawing on that bone, it wouldn't be easy. So a gnawing pain is similarly constant and difficult to get rid of. Be careful though, gnawing begins with a silent G. You should check out the Thinking in English blog for all of the spellings and a full transcript. A burning pain is a painful pain in a way that feels kind of hot. Sometimes rashes, allergic reactions, or other irritations can cause a burning feeling, a burning sensation on your skin. Or if you drink whiskey or another strong alcohol, you have probably felt a slight burning in your throat. And indigestion can cause a burning pain in your chest. You can also describe this kind of pain as hot. Sharp pain is strongly felt and sudden or immediate. This is often the first type of pain you feel after injuring yourself. When I fell down the train station stairs, I felt a sharp pain in my ankle for a few seconds before it started to ache and throb. For example, he felt a sudden sharp pain in his lower back as he bent over to pick up the box. Shooting pains are also sudden and severe. However, unlike sharp pains, shooting pains travel or move through the body, perhaps from your shoulder to your fingers, or from your hip to your toes, or from your neck to your lower back. Shooting pains are actually often associated with back or neck injuries, as the pain can travel through the spine and the nerves. For instance, he gets shooting pains up his spine whenever he tries to move. A stabbing pain is a very sudden pain, which often affects one specific part of the body. These kinds of pain can feel as though someone is stabbing a knife into that body part. Sharp stabbing pains are often associated with chest pain and heart attacks. Splitting is an adjective that describes something that is very strong, severe, or painful. Most often it is used to describe pain in your head, as in, I have a splitting headache. It can also describe a loud, almost painful noise. For example, an ear-splitting noise. If part of your body is tender, it is painful, sore, or uncomfortable when touched. When I injured my ankle, it was very tender for a few days. If I touched it, it was sore. The body part that is tender is easily hurt and easily caused pain. Hopefully, most of you listening have had your COVID vaccinations already, and you probably know that your arm is often tender after you have an injection. Throbbing pain is a pain felt in a series of regular beats or pulses. It is not one constant level of pain, but instead it rises and falls in intensity, like the beating of a heart. Headaches are often described as throbbing. Throbbing pain can feel as though someone is hitting you, or that your body part is beating like a heart. For example, she had a throbbing pain in her neck and right shoulder. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review or rating, recommend it to your friends, or let me know on Instagram. My Instagram is Thinking in English Podcast. The link should be in the description. And make sure you check out the Thinking in English blog. I love hearing from listeners, and I really appreciate all of the messages I have received over the past few months. Feel free to send me a message or give me some advice or recommend a topic. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.